This is Chris Hargraves, and welcome to the Tips for Lawyers podcast. Today we're going to just have a little bit of a chat. Well, I'm going to chat and you're going to listen, hopefully, to a few things that I'm going to share with you about the future of the podcast, about the future of Tips for Lawyers itself, and generally about what I'm going to be up to for the next little while, possibly the rest of my life. So, if you've been paying any attention, you will have realized that I've left full-time legal practice. I am still a lawyer. I am still going to work casually from time to time, but I have decided to focus upon other things, and that's what I wanted to share a bit with you about today, give you a bit of insight into what I'll be spending my time doing and how things are going to look over the next little while. Before we do that, if you have not yet got your copy of In Practice, Moving Beyond Law School Theory, go and get it. Stop stuffing around, listen to the last two episodes. If they sound interesting to you, they were extracts from the book, head over to inpracticebook.com and grab your copy. It's available in most different formats. I am thinking of doing an audio version as we sit here at the moment, but I haven't yet had a chance to do that. So go and grab your copy of the In Practice book. Now, what's going on? I did not, as many people might assume, leave legal practice because I don't like it anymore. In fact, I really enjoy legal practice still. This is something I've been thinking about for a while, and the question is this. I enjoy legal practice, but I also enjoy other things. So what should I do about marrying those things together? Is it the case that everything other than legal practice will always play second fiddle to practice itself? And that is the case with most lawyers. They find themselves enjoying hobbies, but generally only occasionally. They find themselves being able to do things they enjoy sometimes. They find themselves being able to spend time with their family outside the confines of what their work requires them to do. They find themselves being able to look at other ventures or entrepreneurial pursuits, provided it doesn't interfere with work. And that's sort of what I've been like over the last couple of years, and despite the fact that I continue to enjoy legal practice, I enjoy other things too. And so I decided, as best I could, to try and flip that on its head. Now, that decision was a long time coming, and it coincided beautifully with Mrs. Tips for Lawyers finishing some of her studies and going into practice in clinical nutrition. And so in terms of money, it is going to be a little bit interesting for a time. But what, of course, I'm going to focus on are some of my ventures which might allow for some income to start coming back in, and then we're hopefully going to balance things out a little bit. But in the meantime, what we're going to do is I'm going to have more time. It's as simple as that. You necessarily have to say no to something, even if it's something you enjoy, if you want to say yes to something else. And I've been wanting to invest more time and more energy and more passion and more diligence into Tips for Lawyers. I've been wanting to get a lot more into video, and we're going to come back to that soon, because one of the things, of course, is that you can't have everything. And I have said this before, and I will say it till the cows come home. You cannot say yes to everything. Now, sometimes saying no to things are things that you absolutely should purge from your life because they are simply taking up time and energy and they're useless. But other times, and this is one of them, saying no to something, such as full-time legal practice, can come at a certain cost. And it can come at the cost of being able to hang around with people you like and enjoy the company of. It can come at the cost of a certain amount of money, and it can come at the cost of not necessarily doing something that you enjoy as often as you might be able to do it. But in order for me to be able to say yes to some of these other opportunities that I'm going to talk about, I had to say no to full-time practice. Now, I have been privileged, at least so far. As I record this, I am retained on a casual basis by my firm, and they have decided to look after me in that way. And I am grateful for that opportunity. I did not expect it, but it is something that I have welcomed. So what is it then that I'm going to be doing? If I'm not practicing full-time and the work I'm doing can be done out of office hours, which is what I hope will be the case, then what am I going to be doing? Well, the first thing is I am going to be doubling down on Tips for Lawyers. It has seen some success, and given that I've been doing it in my spare time, I think that success is well achieved, and I do take some time to thank you all for any part you have played in that, whether you have shared things, whether you have simply made comments or encouraged me, whether you have sent emails in or left reviews on the podcast. And again, I'm going to remind you to do it at tipsforlawyers.com/iTunes. Leave a review, because that is what helps me stay visible and in front of the people who hopefully are going to find just as much benefit out of this podcast or out of the site as you guys do. So I'm going to double down. That means I'm going to be developing more premium courses. Yes, they will cost some money. However, they are also going to be brilliant. I am currently considering courses about LinkedIn training, because I think it's an important and grossly underutilized platform that lawyers could be capitalizing on. Maybe not now, but over the next 5, 10, 20 years. If there are young lawyers who are able to expand their reach and influence using LinkedIn now, they will see the benefit going forward. I'm also looking at doing a legal drafting course or legal writing course, and that's going to be a monster of a course because it barely gets touched on. Legal writing is so inadequately covered in law school. At most, you get some plain English drafting and you do dot points and you know how to insert a hard return every now and again to make sure you've got paragraphs. That's about it. Actual effective communication in writing is a far different thing. Effectively drafting contract clauses is a far cry from what you get to do at law school, and it's a far cry from what many lawyers are good at, and those who are expert communicators really reap the results out the other side. So I do want to look at the legal drafting component too. And of course, I'm looking at things like personal branding, and I'm looking at expanding out the academy, the Lawyers Academy, which is only open a couple of times a year, to help offer that mentoring component in there too, because I think mentoring is such an important part of any young lawyer's opportunity to grow into their career. So that is what I'm going to do with Tips for Lawyers. You're going to see a lot more videos, you're going to see a lot more articles, and hopefully you'll see a few more interesting things like infographics. I hope to stick out the podcast, and that leads me to this. I am probably going to start working on doing something that is both video and podcast simultaneously. So I might look at rebadging the podcast a little. I might call it the Tips for Lawyers show. I might call it something else. I haven't quite decided yet. It seems strange having a show, but if I'm going to record it on video, then I'm going to get it on YouTube. And if you haven't checked out the YouTube channel, that's at tipsforlawyers.com/YouTube. It'll take you there, and you will be able to see what kinds of things are going up there so far. But I do want to expand into video, because with video, and I want to be transparent about this, I can maximize my time. If I record a video that also has sufficient audio quality to be a podcast, then I can also have a transcript done and turn it into an article. And with that article, I can potentially turn it into an infographic or a slide share or something on Pinterest or whatever it is I feel like doing. But if I start with video, then I just have so many more options available to me in terms of being able to actually deliver in the various formats that people enjoy consuming content on. And that's something that I really want to do more and more. So if you have a particular desire for a particular format, if you prefer audio, and I suspect you don't mind audio since you're listening to this, but if you prefer audio or you wouldn't mind video or you prefer everything to be transcribed, shoot me a note, let me know, because I would really appreciate that kind of feedback so I can know where I should be focusing my efforts on. That is the Tips for Lawyers project. Now, one of the things that a lot of you don't necessarily know are what my other projects are. Now, you know probably that I've got 3 kids. You know that I probably live somewhere that I need to look after. I do grow veggies, if you're curious, and I build furniture as well as some of my extra hobbies that I get around with. But in terms of entrepreneurialism, one of the things I am very keen on is helping people develop their personal platforms in a digital age. And that's where one of my other sites, which is called amodernprofessional.com, come into play. That's where I look at how to use tech to your advantage, because the barriers to entry in the tech world become lower all the time. Certainly there is places for those who wish to actually embark on that coding development side, but you don't need to do that anymore. I can build a website now in less than 10 minutes. And a good-looking website, not a rubbish one. I could probably do it in 4 minutes, depending on how fast my internet was going. It is that fast. And even with no skills and no learning, you could do that too. So if you are interested in digital strategies, if you are interested in building up and becoming aware of at least the tools that are available to people who want to build a digital presence, who want to build that digital platform, and that might include podcasting yourself, that might include having your own website, and that might include developing a stronger social media presence, then I'm going to be building out the content at amodernprofessional.com a little bit more as well. I also do reviews there, so that site makes its money through affiliate links, and so if you use links on that site to actually purchase a product, then I will sometimes, depending on what it is, get some kind of kickback for that. So that is how that site works. And the last one that I want to be building out, of course, is legalnews.com.au. Now, I have said for a while that this is a grossly underutilized site, and every time I try to get into it again, something gets in my way. Most recently, it was a tech problem. It's all set up, ready to go. It's a nice looking site. I like how it feeds information through. I like how it presents, but I've got a slight tech issue in the back end. It's not immediately obvious, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because I haven't fixed it yet. So if you take a peek at legalnews.com.au, then you will get a feel for what it's like. And if you want to get on board for when that comes out again, and when it starts becoming reactivated, which will hopefully be over the next few weeks, then I'd encourage you to subscribe there too. So there are lots of opportunities for you. There are lots of opportunities to explore. There are lots of opportunities to help us engage with each other, to learn a bit more, to take a look at what other avenues are out there for young professionals looking to build up their platforms. These are the choices that I have made. So I want to come back to that topic because I have talked about it before and I wanted to make it real for you, which is that in order to really focus down on the things that you choose to prioritize in your life, you need to be prepared to say no to other things. And in making this decision, I have said yes to the things that I've decided to prioritize, and I have said no to a heck of a lot of other things. So if I'm going to really spend the time appropriately doing the work that I need to do in order to build up these platforms to a point where they can sustain me and my family, then that's what I needed to do. And as I said, I appreciate the support from you. I appreciate the support from all of the Tips for Lawyers community so far, and I hope that that will continue to grow. So that is a little bit about what I've been going on. It may be, if I can arrange the right equipment, that the next time you hear this, it will in fact be a video/audio show, and I may have decided what to call it by then. But until then, thank you very much for your listening. Thank you very much for your support. Head over to tipsforlawyers.com/iTunes, leave a nice little ranking and a nice little comment, and I'll be sure to read it and pick it up. Until next time.